Have you ever tried to heat emboss on fabric? So you stamp out the image with the embossing ink, something like VersaMark, add the powder, all is going well, and the image looks pretty good, then you heat set it and... oh boy, where did it go? It just kind of disappears into nothing. Well, don't worry, because I have an easy fix to show you, and it will open up a whole lot of creative fun for your art journaling, your mixed media, and even your card making projects too. This is actually one of my favourite mixed media hacks, and stick around to the end of the video as I have a project idea for some inspiration. So I'm going to do that whole process again, but this time I'm going to add a layer of medium to my fabric first. So I'm going to try out 2 mediums to show you, and I have some matte medium and a regular gel. Both of them happen to be from Golden because that's what I like to use, but try this out with whatever brand you have. So if I just do a little patch test, you will see how it works and we can compare and contrast the two. Now you want a good coverage, but you don't want the medium or the gel to be layered on too thickly. And once your fabric is covered, then just let it dry completely. So this is now dry, and you can see the matte medium is matte, as the name suggests. And there's a slight but not really noticeable sheen with the gel on the fabric. I use gloss gel because it dries transparent, whereas the matte gel tends to dry a bit cloudy, and I wanted this layer to be pretty unnoticeable. I can stamp my image just the same, and when you do this you'll notice that the fabric is now a little stiffer where it's got gel or medium on it. And this actually will help you out because you need to tap off any excess powders and give it a good tap on the back of the fabric, which is a lot easier to do when it's a bit stiffer. So here's the real test. What happens when we heat set it? Now be careful not to burn the fabric, and I always think that you should be doing any heat setting in a well ventilated room. Wow, now that's a lot better, isn't it? You can see the details of the image, and if you compare it to the areas that didn't have any gel coverage, then you can really see the difference. Now let's try it out on the matte medium side and see what happens. Well, it still works to some extent, but well, I definitely prefer the regular gel, and I think the image is just a lot clearer. Okay, so that's great, but how does it work with different types of embossing powders? So I'm just going to quickly prep up another piece of denim with a coating of gloss regular gel and then let it dry completely so that I can test out some of the other embossing powders that I have in my stash. Now, up until now, I've been using an opaque embossing powder, and the opaque powders are the ones that give you those lovely strong colours, and you can overlay them on coloured paper without the paper colour showing through. But on this sample, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 3 different powders. One's a translucent powder, and that's the pearl gold. I've also got a translucent marbling powder, which is mixed with a white to give you a kind of speckled, marbled effect in some techniques that you might use it for. And I've also got here an opaque that is mixed in with a glitter. So let's see how they all look on the denim. And if you want to know exactly what I've been using, then I've listed all the products out below in the description as always. So if something piques your interest, click the show more button if you are on desktop, and the triangle if you are on mobile. And whilst you're at it, please do like the video if you are enjoying it and finding it useful, and subscribe if you aren't already one of my subscribers and want more art tips, tutorials and inspiration. And hit that notification bell to make sure that you don't miss my next video. So how's this embossing looking? Pretty good, I think. I hope it's giving you lots of ideas for projects that you want to try this technique on. If you've got any that are jumping up in your head, please let me know. I would love to hear in the comments below. Okay, so I've been using a lot of denim so far, but does this trick work on other fabrics? Well, let's try it out. And I've got a light fabric here, both in colour and in weight, and it's a piece of calico as we call it in the UK, but I know that in other countries you call it muslin. And I'll treat one side with a gel medium, and when you use a lighter fabric then do make sure that you peel the gelled fabric off the surface if you don't want it to stick to that surface, because it will. Once the gel is dry I can do the same test again, and I'm stamping the embossing ink half on the gelled area and half on that non-treated area so we can have a good compare and contrast. This is still an opaque embossing powder, but I've gone for a darker colour so you can see it clearly on this light fabric. This type of fabric is very prone to burning under intense heat, so do be careful not to turn it brown. And if we have a look, the gel coated side is much clearer, the stamping image is just really good. And it was a lot easier to heat the embossing powder on that side as well because it was stiffer than the untreated side. So a big thumbs up for using this trick on other fabrics as well. So as you can see, this is an easy way to add stamping and embossing powder details to your fabrics and for using in your mixed media projects. Now I wouldn't recommend this for projects that you might want to wash regularly, such as clothing, as I'm not really sure how resilient the embossing detail would be in a washing cycle. And you definitely would not want to iron over the top of it because that embossing powder will just remelt and stick to your iron, which would be very unpleasant. But for mixed media art or even a wearable art project that you won't want to keep washing over and over again, it's perfect for that. So have a play and see what looks you can achieve. And I promised you some project inspiration, and I made this a few years back when I was working for Blitsy. And if you want to see how I made this, I have a photo step-by-step for it over on their website, and I'll link it up in the description below the video, so go take a look. If you're looking for some more mixed media painty projects to try out, then watch these videos, and I will catch up with you again on Wednesday. Thank you so much for watching.